We've got another great session coming up where Mordecai will be looking at, as I say, how innovation how it's failed us and how we make it work. So I hope she's ready. Over to you, Mordecai.
Hello, everyone. Hello again, and thank you for sticking with us. So welcome to How Innovation Has Failed Us and How We Make It Work. We know this innovation. This is your Google search result. It's the bright shining object. It's the beacon of light, the inspiration in an otherwise dark room. This innovation is expendable. It's a slush fund, the remit of press and awards, the just being cool in the room. It's stunts, seasonal labs, and regular just showing off. Innovation leaders are meant to talk a lot. I'm doing so here. We write a lot, and we win. That's what we're brought in for. All of this is work I've done, I do, but this as an innovation alone has failed us. Innovation as the junior strategy director or the siloed showman has failed us. As we have seen with multicultural marketing, a disposable line item, hiring a consultancy no one is listening to, changes nothing. At a time when we need immediate thinking for unexpected long-term challenges, these models of innovation have failed us, so how do we make it work? When I had the opportunity to create my own innovation group a few years ago at Hyundai, I did what I learned through all that I've just mentioned, and I evolved it. Innovation as it was structured in advertising and marketing had failed me. I was no longer satiated by flash and pan creative, nor intelligence decks presented as little more than inspiration. So I set out to make innovation work. Across all disciplines, with not just C-level support, but inclusion at that level, we can create a business unit that creates opportunity, provides solution, and enables growth. So how do we make it work? First, as an innovation leader, it is key that you move superlative to substance. This is a hurdle I have faced, as people know me mononymously as just Mordecai. CMOs would often refer in rooms and they'd say, we just need a Mordecai in the room. After this talk, I hope that you would actually more like Mordecai's model of innovation as a business, because it's not about me. Moving superlative to substance is embracing the service side of leadership, because our work is not about us, but what we do in the job and how we serve the fabric of the organization. I mentor, I nurture talent, teach through opportunities, learn through listening. I advise towards individual goals in line with team targets. I serve my teams by showing them how to fail transparently and win collectively. Though being a shiny object serves a purpose, the spotlight is for the business to serve and create. To provide substance, to be in the business of innovation, it must make business sense, which leads me to my second point. To make innovation work in marketing, you have to know your bottom line. After my first year at Hyundai Ocean, I surprised everyone when I delivered substantial revenue in year one. I wasn't contracted to at that point, but I knew that without revenue, innovation would remain simply risk and reward territory. My roads to revenue and innovation come from the traditional scope and opportunity, selling in creative, scoping new brands or business units into the practice. But most importantly, it's about new growth strategies, scaling new revenue models via bringing the new into play, from technologies to culture to content styles and platforms. Many of the services you've heard today and we'll hear about tomorrow are all revenue opportunities, especially if we start thinking about other territories. Owning your bottom line, a P&L for innovation, allows for smarter experimentation, mitigated risk, and team growth. All the things we spoke of in the fail section, but without the be-all and end-all setup. Positioning an innovation group with no budgetary say in an organization leaves little room for success. That autonomous showman that I talked about becomes boring. That senior manager is stuck in a circle of knocking on doors with no sign-offs. Through serving innovation at the C level, having a seat at the table in step with all agency needs, plans, and objectives, or the Zoom room, it makes innovation instrumental, being no longer autonomous, but integral to success for all at the table and for the growth of your innovation team. For innovation to work, you must know your bottom line. To better it, create new revenue models for the business, take equity in startups, and own all that you create and support. Because the third way to make innovation work is to productize everything. When I sold in innovation and partnerships at Hyundai's Enotion originally, I roadmapped the year. Innovation created growth across 6 tent poles featuring numerous products from intelligence to mobile apps to campaigns for the agency and the brand. The group was unknown, but the deliverables and year one expectations were clear. My productizing every offering created the substance I've spoken of previous. It allowed agency leaders and their teams to ask for what was on offer and not feel overwhelmed by what innovation had to mean to them. Additionally, they didn't have to have a fear that I was coming for their work or biting into their revenue and opportunities because they knew what I was up to. Going into year 2, when drafting my contract, everything my group did was not only a service, such as innovation briefs, music partnerships, intelligence decks, but were clear deliverables and investments, which streamlined expectations, moving innovation out of a vague catch-all and into productive workflows. Of course, we are creating regular products and offerings too. If you are a partner that I work with, or if we've ever met, you know that I like to be first to market. It is indeed the job that I have, and I thrive in the magic of marrying something new to a brand business objective. I feel like the Yenta I was always meant to be. When I launched Hyundai's 2020 Sonata in augmented reality, we began with a stunt that featured for the first time a vehicle interior, exterior, and with product features in an AR live viewer. The stunt got headlines and awards, but we didn't stop there. AR models of Hyundai vehicles was now a product we were developing. We proved in the stunt consumer engagement at 7 minutes on average. We then partnered with Google and their AR search beta to prove it at scale. So when COVID hit and made digital retail solutions a #1 priority for the auto industry, we knew AR was a viable solution and had the case to sell into stakeholders globally. Indeed, my innovation group was the genesis of that product innovation, but our service is as a product pipeline. It is innovation's goal in brands and agencies to sell in new products and hand them off. AR vehicles now fall under digital production at Hyundai. Productizing everything, knowing the investment and road mapping the technologies and good ideas to which innovation initiates, creates long-term security and real wins. When COVID hit, I wrote in Mused by Clio that the hopeful are here, because innovation in marketing, advertising, and brand work is built for disruption, but it requires real leadership. And we must evolve from where we have stunted, yes, I did a pun there, our growth. Innovation will always be here to support new business wins, lead industry events, support emerging talent and retention, offer intelligence, and we will talk about it. But being that alone has failed us. If we don't, as an industry, get innovation to work, we're left with a reactionary practice, star pupils like these gentlemen with out-of-the-box ideas only. Clients in business is lost. Innovation becomes reliant on partnerships who don't have a holistic brand view. Technologies are engaged just for technology's sake. True innovators do not rest on laurels, stand by their superlatives, plug-and-play technology, wow and walk off. We don't let anything fail without learnings. We remain practitioners of hope, for when we win big. McKinsey highlights that engaging in innovation practice such as this creates 2.4 times higher economic profit. Innovation answers to the bottom line. Our solution mindset that turns nevers to maybes and impossibles into yeses, it continues to be agile and nimble by knowing our products. In the midst of any business challenge or economic state, we show up, never hesitant. We're here, understand, We suggest, solve, and deliver, here to make innovation work. Thank you all for having me today. And if you'd like to be in touch, my contact is there. I'm Miss Mordecai on most platforms.
Thank you so much, Mordecai. That was great. So I've got a couple of questions. So first of all, to really innovate, do you have to have failed?
I think you have to accept that failure is the greatest teacher. So I'm hoping that you have failed. I am, I always say I have British pragmatism, but I'm a New York hustler at heart, which means that, I can hear a no, but I can change things. I mean, we've overused the term pivot this year, but a failure is an opportunity to pivot. It's an opportunity to grow. So yes, I would say you'd have to fail, but I hope you succeeded at the end of the day if you looked back at it.
Okay. And in that, kind of on that same vein, are innovation departments, are they doing enough within the business to kind of surface those new ideas and new opportunities? And is it the role of the innovation department, or is it the role of everybody?
That's where it gets into how is the organization structured. As I mentioned, it has to really come in at the C-level. It has to be at the table with all other group departments, leadership. And I say that because it has to be seen not as a silo or something dispensable, but as something that's benefiting everyone's bottom line. So especially when you're building a new group, as the group that I outlined with innovation and partnerships is, when you're setting that up, it's making sure that every group knows your service to them, and they also know what your service is to you. There's nothing wrong with doing a good job and building revenue and all of these things, but like I mentioned, another person at the table doesn't want to feel you're taking their shine away. So to me, it's making sure that the innovation group is not just the fun, shiny tricks, but is at the table making the big business decisions, and then also just being in that fabric. And to me, that requires an innovation leader at the C-level, and then making sure that the group is immersed into the fabric of the agency or brand.
It's an interesting point that you raise about being immersed into the fabric of the agency. So is innovation also to do about collaboration and making sure that that it's part of a holistic view of the company or the holistic aims of the brand?
Absolutely. One of the products that I briefly touch on is that I created an innovation brief, which is attached to the regular creative brief for all campaign launches, and it features 25 potential innovation collaborations in line with the strategy. So that covers technology, simply good ideas, culture, partners, and really also just a competitive landscape, so we know what we're playing with. And by offering creatives 25 opportunities to innovation at the get, you're already building that into the fabric. Now, that product is not a revenue generator for my innovation group, but it is how I show that we are here to support your work and offer what we can. You can't send an entire agency to CES. So how, if I am there year on year, I did miss it this year, how, if I am there, am I bringing that to the agency and into the fabric? More than a presentation, but actually into practice.
Yeah, so it's those hands-on, it's that hands-on experience, isn't it? Bringing it to life and giving people the opportunity to showcase, their ideas as well and what they've learned from, seeing other people's experiences. Mordecai, you've done a couple of fantastic and really interesting sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.